Hello, welcome to a special episode of ChangeTheReel. In this episode, I will be reviewing 3 independent films based off the works of HP Lovecraft. The first film I will be reviewing will be The Call of Cthulhu. The second one will be The Whisper in Darkness. The third one will be The Thing on the Doorstep. First off, I'm going to review The Call of Cthulhu. This 2008 release was made by the HP Lovecraft Historical Society. It is a short film. It's about 47 minutes long. It's less than an hour long. This film is highly accurate to the original short story that was written in 1926. It is probably his most recognizable and familiar and most popular pieces of literature that he wrote. The film was shot with a really low budget. To use their money effectively, it was shot in the style of a 1926 movie, meaning that it is black and white and a silent film. For such a low-budget film, this film looks amazing. It is definitely an example of how to make a movie with a low budget. If you couldn't tell from behind me what I feel about this movie, I love this movie. This movie is great. I absolutely love this movie. I saw this movie originally in one of its original premieres in 2008. I saw it at the Origins Game Fair, and I fell in love with it then. That was before I actually got into Lovecraft and actually started reading his stuff. The special effects are great, especially for the limited budget. Like I said, the HP Lovecraft Historical Society really did do a really good job of using their money wisely and made a really good-looking film with a really low budget. All special effects were done very well. You probably won't believe that the majority of this movie was shot in their garage, in their backyard. Probably the most cheesiest effect was probably the shot of Cthulhu himself at the end of the movie. It was stop motion, and it's probably the way the puppet looked, but still yet. It was shot in 1926 style, so they would use stop-motion puppetry, and it looks like it was shot and done in 1926. The movie is amazing. If you are a fan of H.P. Lovecraft's work, why haven't you watched this yet? You should have watched it. This is the most accurate version of this story you'll ever see. Hollywood's not going to be making this movie. Hollywood will not make a movie of this adaptation and of this style. This is as accurate as you'll get to the story. The next Lovecraft movie is The Whisper in Darkness. This is the second movie done by the H.P. Lovecraft Historical Society. It was done a few years later, and unlike The Call of Cthulhu, this one is a full feature. This one runs an hour and 40 minutes. But also like Call of Cthulhu, this movie was also done in the style of the time period in which it was written. That will be 1931. And at this time, there were talkies. So this is still black and white, but this is a talkie. Full feature. Accuracy-wise, this movie is, in my opinion, still just as accurate as the Call of Cthulhu, except this one's longer than the original source material. It still has all the beats from the original source material in this movie. It still feels like it's a really good adaptation. They just extended it out longer. Pretty much where the story ends, this movie continues on where the original story stops. This one continues on with the story. So, to make it longer, to make it fit time. But other than that, it's a really good adaptation of the movie. I really enjoy this movie. The acting's great. The special effects are good. Probably the only cheesy special effect was the aliens, the Migo, towards the end of the movie. They used CG effects to bring the Migo to life in this movie. I think I would have preferred to see them use stop motion because these 3D animations, although they looked good, they definitely didn't fit the style of the rest of the movie. The rest of the movie was quite like all traditional effects and everything else going into the movie. And then you got the 3D computer generated Migo. The Migo just didn't quite fit. Not that there was anything wrong with the 3D effects. They were fine. But it didn't fit with the rest of the look of the movie. I understand why they did it, it was cheaper for them to do it in the 3D effects than it was to do stop motion. And when you're under a tight budget, you do what you have to do to come into your budget. And so I probably would have preferred to see stop motion, but other than that, I don't give it any bad marks because of the fact that the CG Nego don't quite fit. The story is really good. I highly enjoyed this movie. Out of the two movies, Call of Cthulhu and The Whisper in Darkness, I like this movie better. I'm probably going to get some people throwing things at me. But I actually like The Whisper in Darkness, the story, better than I like Call of Cthulhu. I was more excited to see this movie, and when I saw they were making this, I was like, oh, I love this story. I saw what they did with Call of Cthulhu, and I knew they can do a really good adaptation. I reckon this movie for everybody, not just people who are HP Lovecraft fans, but I think this movie is good for anybody to watch. This is a really good movie. If you find a copy of this, pick it up, and I'm pretty sure you won't be disappointed. The next one up is the newest one, The Thing on the Doorstep. This one actually wasn't done by the HP Lovecraft Historical Society. It was done in 2014. When I saw this trailer, I was excited. I knew when it came out, eventually I'm going to have to try to find myself a copy of this movie. That was mostly because I really like the story. I like Call of Cthulhu and I like The Whisper in Darkness, but I like this story better than I do those two out of Lovecraft's work. It's still not my favorite Lovecraft piece. I have yet to see a really good adaptation of my favorite Lovecraft piece. But this is one of my favorite stories. So when I saw the trailer, I was like, I'm really excited because the trailer looks good. The trailer looks like a really good adaptation. And I was excited for this movie. So I know I had to get a hold of this movie. This is a full feature. This is not a short film. This is a full feature. It runs a total of 1 hour, 30 minutes. That being said, when I finally got a hold of this movie, I enjoyed the movie, but I wasn't blown away by this movie. Story-wise, it did actually stay pretty accurate to the original source material. There wasn't that much of a deviation from the original stuff. I think it was a really good adaptation. The acting was fine. I actually did enjoy the acting because this is one of the pieces in which the acting could really make or break the film. One of the things that drew me kind of away from the picture was it was actually set in more of a modern time period than it was in the late 1920s where the original story was set. I think I probably would have enjoyed it more if it was a period piece than set in the modern setting. There are several points in the movie in which some of the special effects, you could tell they did some cheesy CG effects. I think the special effects could have been done better. It wasn't the best CG effects. It wasn't the best effects. I don't want to dog the movie too much because, like I said, it's an independent film. It's shot with a very limited budget. And when you have a limited budget, I know this for a fact for shooting short films. When you have a limited budget, you work with what you've got. You work with the money you've got. You do what you can with what you've got. So I don't want to dog it too much for that aspect of it. I can't tell if they did a lot of the effects for doing some type of stylistic type of look to the effects, or if it was on purpose, or if it was just done because of lack of money. But I don't want to dog it too much for that because of the fact that it is an independent film. That being said, I didn't quite enjoy this as much as I did the other two movies. Overall, should you watch these movies? For the Call of Cthulhu, if you're a really big HP Lovecraft fan, you will definitely enjoy this movie, and I'll be surprised of the reasons why you haven't watched it yet, if you're that big of a fan. And also, if you're not an HP Lovecraft fan, if you are a really big film person like I am, it's a good movie to watch to show what you can do with a really small, short budget. That yes, you can make a really good movie with a very limited budget. The Whisper in Darkness, this is a good movie all the way around. If you're a big Lovecraft fan, you will definitely should watch this movie. You'll get a kick out of it. You'll really enjoy it. For the average person, I'd say yeah. If you have a chance to watch this movie, I'd say go for it. Watch this movie. It's a really good movie. I think you'll enjoy it. It's done very, very well, and I highly enjoy it. The Thing on the Doorstep, if you are a really big Lovecraft fan, not only a really big Lovecraft fan, but also really enjoyed this story, because it's not one of his most popular of stories. if you really enjoy this story and you're really a fan of his work, then I'd say if you have a chance to watch it, watch it. You'll probably enjoy it. But for an average person, I would say just don't even bother trying to track one down. With that, I hope you enjoy my first Lovecraftian special, and I'd like to wish you all a happy Halloween. If you've seen this movie, please post your opinion in the comments below, or on our Twitter or Facebook pages listed below. If you like this video, please press the like button. If you want to see more of my movie reviews, please press the subscribe button.